right, here we
Yeah,
are.
I would say
Yeah.
it's the first of the month. Gotta grind, gotta get mine.
Is
Dun,
that a
dun, dun,
song?
dun, 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 dun. Gotta get them dubs. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, Bones, Thug, and Harmony.
I
First of the
don't know
month.
that one. It's pretty good for the first of the month. It's
First of the
October. Welcome to
month.
October, brother.
Yes, welcome. One more again.
And not just one more, but my friend Dallas Taylor over there in the Ogden's area,
Mhm.
kicking it for the 10th time, tenth
Yeah,
podcast, I guess you said. I haven't been counting, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um, and of course, we have a man that needs no introduction, Jeff Greenwald. Greenwald's,
I
because
love how you say every time you say my name, it gets better and better.
I'm
Let me tell you a quick story about Grinvalds. This is a random story, but since you said it, so all my life I said Grinvalds, just
like you're
Grinvalds,
grinning, right? Like a
Grinvalds. Yeah, and
smile.
people call us Grinny, Greenballs. We had all kinds of nicknames, so Grinvalds.
Hmm.
And then I was getting ready as to come to Latvia, and I was teaching at the school, and one of the other teachers was calling me Grinvalds,
Hmm.
which is the right way to say it.
Mm.
And he also knew about these special Latvian pastries that they have here that nobody knows about. And he knew about Latvian and some other Latvian stuff. I'm like, how does he know this? And it was very strange to me. And then I get here and people, oh, Greenwalds, and they're saying it like that. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. So this
Hmm.
guy had it
Yeah.
way before anybody else had it figured out.
Yeah,
So
they
yeah,
they do
Greenwalds.
the E's and the I's a little differently here.
And it's a long
Desmond,
I
number
in
10.
Latvian.
Desmond.
Seeing, yeah, Desmond.
Desmond episodes. I don't know if it,
Yeah, Desmatice,
yeah.
if you want to
Yeah.
get ordinal.
Yeah. It's
A little
you're
ordinal
right,
with it.
right. Um and we are going into the cold season. Um,
It has
things have
begun.
changed here.
See, here's something I bet people don't know who don't live in Latvia is in the United States, once it got cold, you go to your thermostat and you turn it to whatever temperature you want, and the heat comes on and you've got heat.
Hmm.
And when it gets too hot, you go to that same thermostat and the cold comes on and you get cold. But here, most places in Latvia, like we live in a flat that's part of a whole building,
Hmm.
and the building has to socially decide, come to a decision. Now is the time when we are going to turn on the heat because the
Hmm.
heat costs money. It's very expensive. And so everybody kind of has to decide. There is a law. I think the law is 10 days of 10 below 10 degrees or something like that in a row. And then they
Something
have
like
to turn it
that.
on.
Yeah.
But but
Well,
there's this,
and that's more for like public housing too. There's a
yeah,
certain
yeah, yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
click, click, click. That's when
Yeah.
now we're
Yeah.
turning this on. Hmm.
So there's this game of chicken that we play every year where it starts to get cold and you're just like huddle up, put on your sweaters, put on your blankets, maybe you have an
Hmm.
electric heater you plug
Hmm.
in for a little bit, and you're just
Yeah.
waiting for that heat to kick on because it's yeah, it
Yeah,
gets
there's like all of
chilly.
these in between stages. They're a big part of the year is an in between stage. And then even during
Yeah.
the day, you have several changes of the season and during the day from one hour to the next. But yeah, there's actuators that people can put on, but still it's got to be on. Um, and yeah, like for us, you will on the springtime, the heat is turning off, and so you're getting a little bit cooler, and
Yeah.
then it turns off completely. And so, even that we have an independent system, but you still have to have someone to come and turn it back on,
Uh-huh.
get it
Uh-huh.
back up and going
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
with the way this particular one is designed. So
Yeah.
it's like,
So
and then you start the expenses start kicking in. So it's like,
yeah,
how long can I
that's what I'm
how
saying.
long
It's
can I
it's
keep
all
it
about the
going
yeah.
before I have to start paying for
That's not
that
worth
heat,
it anymore.
for that
Yeah.
winter bill?
So just for the conversion, I think it was 4 degrees this morning Celsius, and I
Hmm.
just did the little conversion, 39 degrees
Oh,
American. Can we just say American? Because nobody else is using that anymore. Because maybe we just say 39
Fahrenheit.
degrees
Mhm.
American. I mean, in
Yeah.
honor of Trump, if we're going to rename things, let's just call it 39 American degrees.
Might as well, I guess. I don't know.
Might
Where's
as well.
Fahrenheit from? Is Fahrenheit, I don't think is
I'm
American.
guessing
It'd probably
German.
be English.
Fahrenheit, right?
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit.
Sounds
Yeah.
very German, but it seems like it would have been picked up by the English. And then
My
what? They
favorite,
went
one of
back.
my favorite things was that comedian on Saturday Night Live when he did the George Washington's Dream.
Hmm.
Oh, what was his name? You know, oh my gosh, I hate to forget things like this. Big comedian, famous guy. Anyway, he's going through the Americanisms and he says we'll use Fahrenheit, and then somebody says spell it impossible. Like
Hmm.
nobody can spell, yeah, Fahrenheit. So it was created by Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit, 1686 to 1736, and he was born. Get this in Gdansk, Danzig, which at the time was part of the Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Oh,
He was of German
Danzig.
descent, worked in the Dutch Republic. So, yeah, I learned a lot of things this week about the European history. I was watching these lectures on World War II, and Germany wasn't Germany. There wasn't
Mm.
even a Germany, and then they had to kind of create Germany. All these interesting things. Napoleon was Italian by descent. I had no idea.
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much we don't know. I like these little
Hmm.
moments when we can kind of give some factoids, the
Hmm.
factoid of the show or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's new with you? What's going on? What's on your
Well,
mind
just
today?
just wearing my layers over here, get
Yeah.
trying to get a hold of myself and not get swallowed up by them. Um, and we have a construction project going and we've got some interesting bricks that we've got a hold of that are kind
Oh,
of
you have a picture of the bricks? Those are cool
I can
bricks.
put one in, yeah, yeah, where they're like ceramic um, fire bricks, really, or things that are from more industrial, um heavy duty, stuff, where they're quite strong and they've got interesting stamps in them and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah,
History, man.
yeah.
Living history of Riga.
We'll use take
What
them to
what year was
rebuild
that
things.
house built? Do you know the time frame?
The old part was built around the 1926, we believe, or sometime in the
I was
20s.
guessing.
And
So during the free time.
then there was an addition that was put on, and it was done in the 30s, maybe 36 or 10 years later or so.
Hmm.
And the interesting thing is that the old part seems newer and with much, much better material than the new part.
Well, yeah, it was
Uh,
built during the time when people built things.
well, I mean, it would have
It's
all,
true.
I think it was pre-revolution and post-Russian Revolution.
Well,
Um,
usually the buildings here are they pre-war is what you want. The pre-war
mhm.
buildings are the best ones. Those were and they talk about pre-World War One, the pre-war, and then the independent Latvian ones before World War II are good, and then after that they just go to shit because it's
Yeah.
Soviet architecture and
Well,
just
and there's some white
garbage.
ones here too that are really strong, that are really good, um, that were developed and built on. It's like some of the white ones are really hard. Um,
Talking bricks.
hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and those would have been used. Some
Very.
of the ones in the Soviet times were developed really well because they had this really weird thing around concrete and things like that where it was the way my wife explained it was that it's as close to anything religious that the communists would have was around concrete. The way that it would sort of be malleable and be with all of these different parts and all of these different components and adjust to all these different forms, but then be really strong and rock hard. And so
Oh,
there it
interesting.
was, yeah, it was really big into the Soviet ethos.
Well, they had the brutalist architecture where that was the Soviet Forum where they
Yeah,
had these
yeah.
forum built concrete
Hmm.
structures. There's still a
Yeah,
few
and
really
I had
cool
it,
looking buildings from that era.
and one of my friend's fathers was in um, concrete construction, like where he would build big parking garages in the city and stuff like that, and maybe fly around and be hired. And he said that Russians were basically his crew and the people that were in
Because
that
they knew
business that were
they've
his
been working on it for.
yeah, that were like maybe even his bosses, the people
I
that he
was
would be
just
working for.
I was just thinking about that, how cool it is that we still have that idea, like I was saying about Ukraine a little bit the other day. I was watching the news and I just couldn't believe the terrorism that Russia inflicts on Ukraine. And they just showed the buildings being bombed and the victims suffering. And it was all in Latvian, so I couldn't understand it all. But they were showing these firefighters, fighting this constant barrage of drone attacks and missile attacks from Russia to Ukraine. And I thought those firefighters are now going to be better trained than anybody in the world for dealing with this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so when the shit hits the fan in other places, Ukrainian firefighters are going to be like the trainers. They're going to go, oh, not just the firefighters, but this whole industry that they built around, you know, the, they get hit by a bomb. It's cleaned up. They get the infrastructure back up. They get everything running. They get the fires out. They do it quickly and efficiently.
Mhm.
And they've learned ways to deal with this constant barrage of nightmare. And it's going to be a
That's true, although
resource
I wouldn't discount Americans because
for what?
no, like Americans are much more adapt to the tornadoes and hurricanes, right? And so like you have these
Yeah,
systems
but
that are
those
built into
that's
that.
not the same as war, right?
You'd be surprised, like where
I probably would
there's
be surprised. I don't know.
a lot of that where it's a storm, it's a response. So
Just dealing with emergencies.
it's emergency response units.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
uncle was involved with a church situation where he built a big uh, sort of plumbing, electrical, heating and air business. And when he retired, he worked with the church and wanted to have his talent sort of still being used, right?
yeah.
But he would outfit these trailers and vans and make and sort of coordinate where to go and make sure that everyone had everything they needed to make it happen. But that's sort of more of the volunteer outreach kind of thing, for like uh, sort of giving men something to do in life. Um,
And
but
now it's ice,
well, yeah,
the new hobby.
that's not great. But yeah,
That's what you say. That's not
that's
great.
that's not good stuff.
No,
But no,
no.
but these your other side of it would be the insurance companies and just where like they might go in and work just for the city or the county to help clean it up. But they'll have piles and piles of it in Florida. But anywhere that goes, a tornado is a lot like a war zone because
Yeah, I've seen them,
one house will be affected and the next house won't be. You'll
and
have
it's complete obliteration too. It's
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
the
it's some
absolute
awful,
nightmare.
awful stuff where it's like it's like the haves and the have-nots. FEMA rolls into town. Um,
Yeah,
you have people where it's like they try to figure out, okay, like where's the real need in all of this,
oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
like,
You're right. You're right. I think there is a comparison to be made there. That's another thing I just want to point out about Latvia. I always joked about this with my students. I said, they always wanted to move somewhere else and go live somewhere else, and they're always like, why'd you come here from Nebraska?" I said, "Nebraska, we've got tornadoes, we've
hmm
got rattlesnakes, we've got poisonous spiders, we've got things that could just kill you in nature." And I'm looking at Latvia thinking, there's no floods, there's no hurricanes, there's no volcanoes, there's no, none of these tornadoes. The
yeah,
the
but we're
most
not
severe
supposed to
weather
tell
event, we had a
people
big
about
wind the
those.
other. What?
We're not supposed to tell people how
Oh,
nice
that's
it
a big
is here.
secret. Yeah.
Well, it's like we there may be a declining population problem, but that's good for the male leave me aloneliness problem. So it's like the like where it's like like if you don't want to have to be bothered,
yeah, well
less
my
people is good.
yeah, when my gym gets a little full, I do get anxious. I just get this like, it's enough people. This is good. Let's
Hmm.
stop there, right? Yeah,
There
I
people
hear
they
you.
do love the gym here. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Have you been?
amazing.
Do you go to the gym?
No.
Oh,
Absolutely not. Well, I mean, like I
how
say
do
it
you
in a
know
way like
that?
I used to when I was younger, but
No, no. I mean, how do you know here? You said they love the gym if you've never been.
I just know, like the way like you see it, there's windows, so they're always
Oh
full.
yeah. Oh, you're peeping in. You're
Um,
peeping in on the.
it's just that you can tell there's just there's a different culture around it. But I've always gotten my exercise from work and sort of preferred that. Like, I'm out there busting bricks this week, like
Yeah, busting bricks.
chipping
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I'm
chipping the
pushing. I'm
masonry.
pushing my pencil. Pushing my pencil. So I got to hit
Hmm.
the gym every once in a while,
Yeah.
or else I
Uh,
shrivel
riding
up like a
this
raisin.
riding the scooter around is a surprising workout where you
Okay,
like,
you're gonna have to explain that to me.
well,
You're
I stay on
standing
my,
on a scooter.
yeah, but I stand on my tiptoes. So I'm a little bit, already kind of in that like
You don't have to stand on your
plank, a little
tiptoes,
bit
dude.
of
Is that a
planking.
rule?
No, 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 no. It's more
Oh,
just like what I've figured out for the best shock absorption is to stand on
uh,
your
you
tiptoes.
get a little bit of a going.
Yeah, yeah, where it's like
But you need that
because
here because there are some
you
not
can,
exactly
yeah.
smooth.
No, I mean, I'm a man of a distinguished age over here. I don't need to be going around and, you know, like jarring my heels and rocking
Your
my
joints.
it just rattles your brain after a while, and you
Yeah,
don't need to do that 1,000 times
yeah.
per block.
So what's on our agenda for today? What's going on?
Well, there are things that are happening. That I said that there are
Okay.
quite kind of like surfing falling rocks this week, it
Mhm.
seems like, where it is hitting the fan in particular ways. We have our Secretary of War out there
He
doing.
liked to say that a lot, didn't he? Like I watched just like 2 minutes of the speech. And I think he said it like four times. Like war with the Department of War, Secretary of War. Like, yeah.
Hmm. It's really super interesting the way that that whole thing went down. It's very commercial. Um, it looked to me like it was pure theater from the church, where it was like righteous gemstones kind of stuff.
Taken right from a super church,
Yeah,
mega church kind
yeah.
of thing. But they didn't have
Um,
the fireworks and the song and dance routine like the Charlie Kirk
well,
thing.
even
And
right,
there
like,
was no
even with
applause.
yeah, even with the book plug, you know, where like
Oh,
to plug,
I heard about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
to plug the book is something that's just not for like it would be one thing if it was routine and it was like something that
Nothing
always kind of happened,
nothing
but
is routine.
for people to say that it's the first time that they've seen this in their careers,
Yeah.
and then this also include a book plug of where he's like, oh, I heard somebody wrote a book about that. It's like all of a sudden it takes it where it it's a very small thing, but it could be the only reason. Look, this sun
Yeah.
is like, ah.
Yeah. I'm melting. But you're right. And it
I
feels
don't
like
know what's
everything they
going
do
on.
is some kind of grift. Like everything that this administration does is some kind of grift. There's something to gain. They're going for something. We're scared of fascism. Maybe they're just banking, cashing in every way they can. And that's all it's about. I watched Donald Trump explain how to go down a flight of stairs for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I didn't understand what I was watching.
it's
And then I found myself
bizarre.
quoting him to my lady as I'm going down the stairs. She said, "Why do you walk so slow?" I said, "I'm just doing what the president told me to do, doing what the dear leader commanded, taking it
Yeah,
slow down those steps."
yeah, or or less we may be pushed down by a shadowy figure, coming up behind us or something like that. Man, I
Oh,
gotta I
so
gotta get out of the
strange.
sun.
Yeah, I moved
Um,
mine just a little bit. Speaking of comedy, actually, no, I was going to say like Trump was doing like a comedy routine more than anything else. He's trying to get laughs from these people, but scary laughs. Like it was that scary kind of dictator speech where
mhm.
we have to laugh or he'll be mad at us, and so They had like these punchlines that were the creepy things, like if you don't like it, we'll take away your rank and you can leave now. Like, is that a
Hmm.
joke or was he serious? I don't know.
He's serious
But
as
I
a
want to
heart
know.
attack. Yeah, I'm sure he's serious as a heart
Oh
attack.
yeah, I
There's
wanted to know what you thought of this Saudi Arabia comedy festival. If you heard anything about that.
I've heard bits and pieces of it though. I didn't know Bill Burr was going. I thought it was
Bill
probably
Burr,
like,
Dave Chappelle.
well, I expect, I don't expect much um from Dave and that as far as staying out of controversy in that
Yeah,
regard. He's not
I
gonna.
just I saw a thing. David Cross came out. Mark Maron, David Cross, a couple other comedians were just talking bad mouthing these comics for it. And David Cross said something like, what do you need a second house for? I know second boat for. Like, how much money did they give you to do
It
this
must
gig
have
or
been
whatever?
it must have been so much.
But what my theory is that it's not necessarily even about money anymore. I think these big powers are just using blackmail and threats to like get people to do what they want them to do. I think they're following the Putin roadmap of how to gain power. It's not
Hmm.
about money necessarily. Money will only get you so far. But if you want someone to break their morals and break their true what they believe in, the way to do that is threats and blackmail. Like if I paid you enough money, you would do a lot of things, but there are certain lines you won't cross. Maybe you wouldn't
Hmm.
kill a person if I gave you enough money. But if I threatened your family or threatened something with your family and said, if you don't do this, they're going to die, then
Hmm.
you do that thing. And that's where this I think all too often we look at bribery and most of the time we just think, oh, they're just getting money for what they're doing. And we don't think of that other side, like what is it that they're being threatened with
Hmm.
that they're doing these things. And I think Trump has a lot of that going on. I think that's a lot of his power with these, congressmen and people who don't cross him because they know that he will mess with you.
Hmm.
And then Putin's got that going on. That's how he got Yeltsin to give him the presidency. He threatened to release these things on his family and all this sort of thing. It's this huge legacy of this power being brokered like
Compromise.
that. Now this and
Compromise.
the Saudi Arabian, they've got this, they killed that journalist in cold blood,
Hmm.
Khashoggi. My Latvian friend had never even heard of that. Had no idea. Just thought Saudi Arabia was an innocent player and a good country where there's a lot of rich people. Had no
Hmm.
idea about all these evil things. So they're doing a good job of whitewashing their reputation around the world. And now these
Well, it's
comics go and give
going,
them this legitimacy by, yeah, it's just
yeah,
another place to go do a comedy routine. Let's
it's
forget
going in
about
a
all the
different
darkness.
direction is the thing where it's like there's so much money there that they're looking at. It's like they're all kind of in the prince's dream, if that makes sense, of like what maybe like the year 3000 might look like. And they're building up to like make sure that their legacy is left over into the civilization of 1,000 years from now, kind of stuff,
How do you know that? You've heard that? I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, and it's also, I think there would be something like I'm not trying to like whitewash horrors in that way in this way, but I think it is worth considering like what does it mean when someone like actually is your enemy? What does it mean when someone is actually like coming against you and stuff? And where are those limitations? You know what I'm saying? Like what are those sort of like lines of like do you vanquish your enemy or do you just sort of
Pay them off.
or like do you leave
Own them.
like a portion of them behind to rise up again kind of thing, or do you want
Salt
to
the earth.
vanquish your enemy,
Completely
right? Like
destroy
what's the
them. Yeah.
difference between
Yeah, I mean, there's
vanquishing
a
your
huge.
enemy
I
and
didn't know this that
genocide?
they have this
That's where
futuristic
I guess that's what I'm saying is
viewpoint. Because I was going
it,
to ask this. I watched this video about the like I said, Europe and the history of Europe, and this guy was talking about Sweden when Sweden formed. So Norway and Sweden were kind of together, and they had a monarchy. And then the people rose up and they said, we don't want a monarchy anymore. We want a parliament. So they kind of did this divided thing where they have the monarchy, but the parliament makes the rules and governs and all that sort of thing. And at the time, whatever 170 years ago or something it was when they formed. They they wanted to be a socialist country with a 300-year plan to develop into this perfect socialist society.
Mm.
And the guy giving the lecture just pointed out, like, they're only 170 years into this experiment, and already they have some of the top companies in the world. Their life is great. They're happy. They've got all the things they want because they had this plan to move
Hmm.
towards a socialist government, a socialist
Yeah, high
economy, a
quality of
socialist
life.
marketplace.
Hmm.
Yeah, high quality of life for everybody. And I was just thinking to myself, does the United States have a plan? Like, it started off on this big idea, and it was awesome, and let's make this bastion of freedom in the world. But as far as saying, like, what do we want to look like in the
Hmm.
future, it feels like we've just been flailing. The United States, I shouldn't say we, the United States has just been flailing, like, let's go swat these flies here, let's go swat these flies here, let's go here, let's do this. But you got Shadow, you got some shade
Sorry,
there, buddy.
I'm dying over here. I don't,
Yeah,
this is pretty rough.
yeah. I can't believe you can't.
Hold on a second. Let me just fix
Okay,
this.
well, Dallas is going to go fix his window, and I'll fill the space with some noise. So you wanted me to tell a funny story about Riga, but I don't really have any funny stories about Riga. Um, I was trying to think of anything funny that happened to me, but the one is when I crashed my bike and into a police car. Oh, Dallas, you're back. Good to see you.
Hey, hey, hey.
That was quick. That was quick.
Yeah.
All right. So, 10th anniversary episode. What do you want to throw out there?
Um,
10th anniversary. I don't mean
you
10th
say
anniversary. 10th episode.
you crashed your bike
No,
into.
no, that was a cliffhanger. I'm leaving it there. That was a
Oh,
that's the
okay.
point I was telling you. Oh, Dallas
I
is
do have
back, and
another
then I
one.
don't.
I do have one myself,
Yeah. So you tell your story because I want to hear
it's
it.
not a direct one. It's not necessarily direct. It's just
Hmm.
sort of like one of the more stranger things that I've heard here.
Stranger Things. I don't
Um,
think we can say that anymore.
oh, but
Yeah.
like I would say outside of like what is a pretty ubiquitous sex trade, one way or the other.
Yeah.
There's this very unusual story that I heard about the building of Lidl. They are not a sponsor. Maybe they should be, as many times as we've mentioned them.
Yeah.
Um, and their Parkside tool brand that was
Parkside Tools.
Parkside Tools.
Tools you need for the job you don't want.
They'll be back, like the Arnold
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that
you're
here
linking sex trade and little here.
no,
This
no,
is
no, I'm not
interesting.
linking them. I'm saying like it's been one of the more eye-opening things since I've lived
Ah,
here is
oh, okay.
how present it is and just how dangerous that world could be for individuals.
The world of little or the world of sex trafficking?
Sex trafficking.
Sex.
Yeah,
I don't mean
where
trafficking. I mean sex working.
where girls end up here, or maybe even boys, and then taken from here and going elsewhere. Like it's pretty. But it's also one of those things where it's like those that know don't say, and those that say don't know, kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
very. So I'm saying, therefore I really don't know. Um,
Okay.
I mean, pretty much. But but yeah, so that's one thing. But the other thing was this very interesting story that I heard where there were people who, let's say, who have local influence who were trying to make a building project go in a particular way,
Hmm.
um, or maybe whereas like negotiations for something to be a particular way and they didn't, and things were moving forward and they didn't want to move forward. And I've heard, and I don't have firsthand knowledge of this in any way, but that they released like a leopard or something like that and put an exotic animal on the job site and it shut it down in a way that was different than other ways that they could shut it down, where they didn't have another way of shutting it down. So they put like an endangered species exotic animal on site.
This
And
happened in Riga, you're saying?
yeah, and so it linked the business itself with that exotic
Event. That's
animal because
yeah.
now they have possession of it because
Oh my
it's on their
gosh.
site. But it's also like turning the panthers loose on your workers kind of stuff, and if in making a very unsafe job situation. But but after that, apparently everything um, became very cordial between the two parties, or three or four, and things began to move forward. And now we have a lovely a complex, maybe we should call it, that includes Lidl. I don't know if they're necessarily associated with it one way or the other, but more of the larger complex.
What can you give more detail? Like where was this? When
I'm
was this?
trying
Do you have
not
any?
to because I don't want to get
Oh,
I
okay,
don't want
okay.
them to release a panther in my living
You don't want
room.
to get doxxed. So yeah, that's a good story. I thought you were going to tell something personal that happened to you, or
Yeah, no, it's just more like these weird things that we come across, like in the first one there's some of the drugs or the effects on some of the people that we see that we might not see in the US, and then, vice versa. Um but yeah, that was one of the more, literally like exotic stories that I heard about.
so
And
one of the fascinating things for me, this is why I like doing this podcast, is because we actually live here and we can talk about our experiences and what we see in a place that a lot of people don't live and a lot of people have never been to. Because I think one of the big problems of this world is the limited amount of actual information we have about the way things are in places we are not. And
hmm
it's kind of a running theme of my life. I remember when I was living in Omaha and people wouldn't come visit me from the small town I was from because they saw on the news that Omaha was a dangerous city and there were shootings and
hmm
murders and people of color and it was a
Hmm.
dangerous place to live and all this sort of thing. I'm like, never had a problem, never had any,
I never
never had
heard
any
that.
violence or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I
think,
always heard
and
of
right now we
the
see it.
Mutual of Omaha, and like,
A
yeah, and
mutual
like
of Omaha's
it's
people.
it's
Yeah.
like a Masonic place as well, right? Like it's kind of
Oh, let's not get in
one
the
of
Masons,
the
but let me get to my point about that because so right now Trump and his people are sending troops to Portland, Oregon, I believe.
hmm
And apparently
yeah.
Trump believes that Oregon is a war zone and that it's this horrible place to live in some dystopian nightmare because he watches the wrong things on his TV box that show
Right,
him images
right.
of what Oregon and what Portland is like. And the people who live in Portland are like, it's not like that at all. It's fine. And they show, I've seen a bunch of pictures of people making jokes about, yeah, look at all the nightmare, look at all the fires, look at all the war zone. But if in your head, all you have are these distorted images that are given to you by this media, whatever your media source is,
hmm
that's all you know. And that's what you believe to be the truth of a place. I
Yeah.
talk to people in Latvia all the time. Like when I first moved here, I've lived in, I think, six different regions in Riga, right? Like just different neighborhoods. And when you first come to a place, you don't know. You just pick up, find a place and you kind of move there and you ask people, whatever. So I lived on it's called Krastiela, and it's right on the river. And I thought it was a really nice spot because we had a view of the river and we're, kind of near the center and not too far from anything. And when I would tell people where I lived, they're like, oh, that's Muskachka, that's
hmm
dangerous. It's a scary part of town because in the old days, I guess Muskachka, this little Moscow neighborhood, was kind of the dangerous place to be. And I would walk through it. I'd walk home. I'd do all these
hmm
things and never had a problem. But
Right.
even to this day, the Rizniaks, the people who live here, think, when you say a certain part of town, that's the way it is, and that's who lives there, and that's the
Yeah.
dangerous part because they have it in their mind, and it's
Well,
this
I haven't had
pervasive.
I've never had a problem in Moskotchka. And I think it's also like it's that phenomenon that I was explaining about, like don't tell anyone how nice it is here,
Yeah.
because like it's like the
Want to
people
keep the
that are
people
over
away.
there. Well, and it's like it keeps it inexpensive for students too. So there's a lot of students that are over there. So there's lots
Yeah.
of new, it's sort of changing in and out with each semester, you know.
Yeah.
It's because it's some of the more affordable places in the city. But they one of the only problems that I've had there that I can remember was my wife and I would like to go walk through the parks. There's a park over there called what we would call Peace and Quiet. So there's like a monument to the Afghanistan soldiers here that
Oh,
went
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
Latvia and fought
A lot of
for
people don't
NATO
know
in
that either,
Afghanistan.
that Latvia. Yeah.
And so that's like I think that's the Peace Park, and then the other one
Yeah.
is the Quiet, and so we would call it Peace and Quiet. And we're walking through, and I think I would have like a black beanie on, and this and you see around town, it seems like some of your more unsavory characters have these a lot of black beanies on, and maybe it's communicating something to each other, you know, I don't know. But I was not, I was accidentally maybe communicating that I was a part of this black beanie group and walking with my wife and like because of that very prevalent sex trade, like it was like I was in on someone else's turf, and that someone else's turf was an older lady, and she was coming and like walking and like being very kind of like, you know, like intimidating kind of as she was walking by and not happy that we
Oh
were
my
there at
gosh.
all. And it was just like this thing of like being mistaken. Like you can't even go out for a walk with your wife without it because it's so prevalent. They think
You just don't know. Yeah.
that you're someone who is also a part of this hobby, as it were.
A part of this, the
That
underground network.
let's
Now,
say
and I think you told me
cottage
this.
industry.
I think you told me this, and someone else mentioned this too, is that you could spot a sex worker from a mile away.
Hmm.
And I was like, I've walked around these streets 1,000 times, up and down these blocks, and I can't say that I've ever seen someone who I would go, oh, obviously. Maybe
Yeah.
once on a Sunday morning coming out of some flat or something. And on the highway a couple times I've seen them. But just walking through Riga, I'm like,
Well,
no, not
sometimes
so
it's
much.
subtle and sometimes it's not subtle at all, you know?
Well, we did get approached. I don't know if I told you that story at the bar. Where these two ladies came in, and I was drinking with a friend, and they sat next to us. Buy us a drink, and we said no.
Um,
And so they just sat and they kept trying to talk to us and get us involved in conversation. You just tell what
mm,
they were into, and we
yeah.
just ignored them. And they just left. They didn't pay for. They got wine and they didn't pay
Hmm.
for it. And the
Hmm.
bartender was angry. He's like blaming us. It's like we didn't do anything. Just
Yeah.
we just wouldn't buy it.
So there's something that I wanted to mention that was kind of
Well, we got one
interesting.
minute left. Do you want to?
It's a little bit of it kind of comes back to the Hegseth thing where he talked about the beards, and I thought it's very interesting because
We can't join.
it's like um, the beards are directly connected with the Russian Empire and how this Vlad uh, came along. That was the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, and it was this difference between the old believers and the rest of the Russian Orthodox Church, where the
Oh,
old believers are the ones that kept their beards, and the new ones under this new edict from this I guess you would call it it's kind of a pope or whatever, but
yeah.
um, was to shave your beards off. And if they didn't shave their beards, they would get the in the barrel and be tortured in a barrel. And
Just for
so
having a beard.
yeah, yeah, because they weren't
Wow.
following his orders. And so it's like it's crazy how much of that is connected with that culture in a sense, you know.
Didn't Jesus have a beard, Dallas? Wasn't that?
I don't, well, you know, the image of the Bee Gees